Today, we're talking about two things that are required to grow your mission, to grow your impact, to grow your funding, to grow your visibility. You have to do these two things on repeat again and again, tried and true, in order for your organization to grow. Those two things, prospecting and outreach. I know, it's not the most exciting things to do, but I'm going to walk you through how I think of, how I handle prospecting and outreach, and how I've literally built three different businesses using a method that works for me, where I don't feel like it's tight and cold calling. I don't feel like it's the most stressful thing ever. And it's worked. This is how I started my first business back in 2007. This is how I again started another business in 2011 ish using prospecting and outreach. Okay. Many times entrepreneurs get stuck because they've got a great business idea and they build a website for it. They get some business cards for it. And then it's like just waiting for the people to come buy the thing, right? That is not how you build a profitable business. The same is true for nonprofits. They apply for their 501c3 status, they get their website, they get maybe a board of directors, and then they're waiting, right? Because I thought I just needed that status and then the donations would come. No, what you need is you need a model for prospecting and outreach that is doable, that is like rinse and repeat and part of your annual, monthly, and weekly plan. So let's define prospecting and outreach and how you can begin to incorporate it into your weekly or daily habits and what it looks like to actively prospect and outreach in a way that really can like hit the gas on your organizational growth. Okay. Prospecting very simply is just reaching and connecting with people inside and outside of your network. You may have heard the term sphere of influence. I just like to think about it as like, who are the people that I know? You think about the people you know your friends, you know your family, you know your neighbors, but you actually know a lot more people than that. You know the people that you went to school with, maybe high school, maybe college, maybe preschool. You still know some of those people. Community groups, clubs, memberships, the people at your gym, the people that are in a run club. I mean, the people that you go to your ceramics class with. There are a lot of the people that you see at the grocery store again and again. Your barista. You think about your network of people that you know, it's actually much bigger than you think. So prospecting starts there. The other side of prospecting is more cold. So the people that are outside of your current network, outside of your current sphere of influence. Knowing those two things is how I built my first business. Okay. That is literally how I did it. As I started working my network that I knew, working that list, talking, communicating regularly with them. And before I knew it, the leads and referrals started to come in. And I had a profitable 6-figure plus business using that. That was it. It's just organic marketing. And I want to take a step back here and say, this is just marketing. And many consultants and coaches in our sector either teach marketing or they teach fundraising. And I want to tell you why I do both inside the Purpose and Profit Club. My group coaching program, we do both. We do marketing, we do fundraising, and we do the inner work to get you comfortable doing the outer work, right? Taking the outer action. It is actually all three. Because if you've ever said, we need more donors, we need more donor acquisition, we need to attract new donors, we need more visibility, we need more monthly donors, we've got to sell event tickets, event sponsorships, anything like that. We'd love to have some media placement. We just really need more influencers and ambassadors and social street teamers to advocate for us online. Any of those sound familiar? Those are all marketing. That's marketing, right? And why do you need all of those things, right? Why do you need to have more aligned conversations with potential funders? Why do you sell tickets to your event? Why do you want a social street team, right? So that you can increase your revenue and your impact. Fundraising. The two go hand in hand. And I think to parse them out is really hard because many times I see fundraisers who are doing normal fundraising practices of like 20 plus 30 years ago. It doesn't work for the time we're in now. We're in a time that is very fast paced. People are on their phones more than ever. We've got to use the latest marketing to like get in front and cut through the noise of that audience, of attracting new donors, and also the audience of your current donors, getting through the noise of just busy inboxes and busy social profiles to get in front of them and tell them what you're up to. When Laura Belgray was on the podcast a few episodes ago, she said, I loved bringing on just outside people outside our sector, right? Outside of social impact. So they could talk about like their perspective of what they see marketing content, storytelling content look like. She said, I just want to be entertained, which may sound like, how in the world can my nonprofit entertain anyone, right? I just want to be entertained. And what she's really saying is like, y'all, shake things up. Say it in a way like you and I are having coffee. We're going for a walk. You're voxering me a funny message. Like, be real. I just want to be entertained. Where's the fun in this? Where's the through line? Where's the commonality? How are we all the same? Like, where's the humanity in this? So marketing can just be all of those pieces, right? And in a marketing conversation, that's where we have those amazing donor moments. Amazing donor moments. I'm thinking about one of our purpose and profit clubbers who just shared that he was speaking to a friend he hadn't spoken to in a while. He saw him at church. And before he knew it, he was like, what have you been up to? Tell me about your organization. And the guy was like, I would like to give you $1,000 gift. Why? Connection, prospecting, right? That's my favorite kind of prospecting. It's totally organic. Just putting yourself out into the world and talking about what you do, talking about the people you serve, talking about your mission, right? And you'll watch, that's not the first $1,000 story that I have like that. There's another one, $1,000 story on the beach, right? From just talking, another organization founder talking about her mission, $1,000 donation, boom, like that. Okay, so prospecting, that's prospecting. Outreach is the active outreach process, booking a meeting, booking a conversation, making the ask, not burying it into the last 30 seconds of the meeting. So the prospecting is sort of the act of identifying people in and outside of your sphere. And then the outreach is, I like to put outreach as part of your year-round plan, the way that you might think of some other strategy. Outreach should be part of it. Okay, so what is my outreach plan? Now, outreach can be fun because you can do social street team outreach where you're saying, this month I'm really focusing on getting 10 new influencers. So 10 new social street teamers. This is what I teach in the club, how to work with social street teamers in a way that they become your advocates, right? Your wild raving fans. And they're talking about your mission in front of their engaged audiences. It's the best. It's the best. Okay. So that's prospecting and outreach. This past week, I was giving a presentation to a group of nonprofit and social impact founders. And the conversation was about engagement. And they were asking me questions. And really, we were digging into this. So marketing, fundraising, prospecting, outreach. And one of them kind of stopped me towards the end of the conversation. And she raised her hand and she said, okay, so what you're saying is just like, it's going to feel hard and terrible and just like do it anyway. And like, just go ask for the funding. There was that energy, right? And I was like, not quite. So I think a lot of people teach it that way. I see a lot of other coaches and programs teach it that way, sort of like this, like push energy, almost like not even push through, but just like push, avoid, put your feelings on a shelf and go ahead and make that hard ask to the funder. Go ahead and ask that funder for more. Go ahead and ask for the meeting. Be bold, get in there, get it. And that is a way to do it. I think it can be done in that way. I know I have done it that way in my own business. And on the other side of that is complete depletion. When you go into any sort of discovery meeting, pitch meeting, any kind of prospecting and outreach, and you're thinking, I just have to push through this, it's going to be hard. On the other side of it, no matter how good it goes, energetically, you feel very depleted. Like it makes me just want to like lay down on the couch afterwards because I'm like, God, that took so much. I'm sure there was like all the different, there was probably cortisol dump after that. It's just so many like of the hormones just dealing with the nervous system of that you're not allowing those emotions. So when she said that of like, just push through it and do it anyway, I said, no, what I'm saying is some of these things will always feel like anxious. Some of these meetings will always have a flavor of discomfort to them. Like some people will always feel a little nervous pitching a new funder. Some people may always feel a little nervous upgrading a donor, pitching an ambassador, right? Asking for a sponsorship. That's okay. I would say it does get easier with practice, but also don't expect it to totally go away. So that's like the first layer is just acknowledging like there is a part of you that like rejection is hard, right? And being face to face with somebody who has the ability to be like, nah, not into it, right? Can feel hard, and that's okay. So it's instead of pushing through it, instead of, or rather against it, instead of putting your emotions on a shelf and doing it anyway, I actually want you to just like love on that part of you that's like, yeah, this feels kind of hard. And I've got me either way. This feels kind of hard. And regardless of how this conversation goes, there's going to be a lesson here. And I'm glad I did it. That's through. Do you see that as through with me? So there's this scene. My kids love Home Alone. And I think it's the first Home Alone. And it's like we're still watching Home Alone. And it's not the holidays. There's this scene where Kevin, he's home alone in his big house. No one's there. And the laundry room is in the basement of that house. And it's one of those like perfect unfinished basements that feels kind of creepy. And in the basement is like it's almost like the heating, like the boiler for the house. And in his 9 or 10-year-old imagination, he sees it like come to life. And it's like this fiery furnace. So it's like there's a scene where it's like almost like chomping at him, right? And he always goes running up the stairs, hides under the covers, and he has that moment, right? When you treat prospecting and outreach like that, that's what it feels like. You're like, I don't ever want to do that again until I have no clean clothes, and then I have to run down there and do it really quickly and then run back up, right? That is a cycle that some people can build a business, can build an organization with, and it feels terrible. So that is like a distinction. Don't do that. Then towards the end of the movie, Kevin's like kind of rocking and rolling. He's been to the store. He's bought some milk and some bread. He's kind of gotten the hang of things. And he's like, I'm going to go do some laundry. He goes down there and he has that moment where he sees the fiery furnace and it's like, and it looks like chomping at him, or, you know, his imagination's kind of showing that. And he goes, stop it, or something like that. Like he literally talks to it and the whole thing just quiets. And the furnace just becomes what it is, which is just a furnace, right? It's just a piece of steel. And on he goes and calmly loads the dishwasher. And it's kind of like that with anything in building and growing your organization. It's like seeing the hard thing for what it is. Like, oh, this isn't going to kill me. This is part of the deal. It's not my favorite to go do laundry down here. I feel like every child has had like a grandparent or somebody with like a creepy basement, right? Like, yeah, it's not my favorite to go down here, but like, I'll be okay. I'm going to be okay. And talking yourself through that is really, really key. That's what we're doing this month in the club. So this coming month in the club, our theme is a program called Outreach Genius. I only run it inside the club. And in it, we're doing this. We're identifying your cold and warm prospects. We're getting you into courageous action mode, because there's no point in doing any of this if you're going to burn out, if it's going to feel so depleting on the other side, if it's going to feel like something you want to run up the stairs from, right? Like the point of this is to grow your organization, to raise and impact millions. How do we do that? How do you raise and impact millions? Like, let's just zoom out for a second. You've got to add more people in your pipeline, period. I was on a call just recently with a tool that is a wealth screening tool. So these wealth screening tools are very, very popular, especially for more established organizations. And they'll tell you a bit about your constituents and your people in your world, and, you know, if they're higher capacity, et cetera. And I was thinking about it, I'm like, that's just prospecting. It's just prospecting at a different level. It's just another form. What do you do with that then? You market. You start to create conversations. You start the outreach. And I say that because this never goes away. Whether you're $100 million organization like Charity Water, or you're a $100,000 organization, you still have to prospect. You still have to do outreach. You still have to market. You still have to fundraise the entire time. And there's a way to do it that has you running up the stairs and hiding under the covers. And then there's a way to do it that feels expansive and like it's working. And not only that, like you're not alone in doing it, that suddenly you're not the only one doing it. Suddenly there are people around you, people on your behalf advocating for you, peer to peer. We've got fundraisers happening. Like that's how you grow. That is how you raise and reach millions. So it has to start somewhere. I think the first place it starts is just realizing the simplicity of this, because it is simple. It is really simple. Simple doesn't always mean easy though, right? Simple doesn't always mean easy. Just because something's simple, like, oh, we'll just call 5 people you know today and tell them about your organization, doesn't mean that feels easy. Am I right? Oh, we'll just call 5 people today that are current donors and ask them to donate more. Ooh, right? Like, what does that bring up for you? Exactly. And that's part of the deal. And how do we do it in a way that feels like scalable and feels doable and help giving you the support and like what to say, how to say it? That's what we're really digging into. I'm going to be teaching a class that talks about some verbal and nonverbal cues that are really, really helpful for these conversations, as well as some of the just wider reach of like, what does it look like to have donors in my pipeline, to have ambassadors in my pipeline? How do I know, when to reach out to them? How do I know what to say? How do I know, is this a no pitch email? Is this a pitch email? And those types of things. So we'll be digging into that as well in Outreach Genius. One final question that I was asked last week in that kind of round table on engagement is one organization, and they're about a 5-year-old organization, and they had a very high profile donor, celebrity donor, and give a gift, significant gift. And they're trying to get in touch with this donor to give another gift. And they were asking, like, what if I've reached out and I haven't heard back? Then what? And really what was underneath that was like, do I have permission to call this like, a one-time gift? And that was it. And so we talked about what are the ways that you have been outreaching, like what is outreach way? And so we talked about what she had been doing. And in this case, it was an email outreach. We talked about so many other impactful ways to get in front of this donor, to talk about what she's working on, and to really cultivate that relationship in a way that is long-term and not a one-off. But that requires courage. That wasn't an easy coaching session because it requires that it may be a no. It requires that somebody on the celebrity donors or the celebrities team may be like, wow, you're emailing a lot, or whatever the thing is. Like, it requires her to be willing to hear feedback. It requires her to be willing to hear the no's. And something I was thinking about was, in some ways, sometimes founders and leaders and fundraisers are trying to protect themselves from rejection by not asking a third time, by not picking up the phone and only doing something passive like an email, by not trying to book the meeting, so as to save themselves from rejection. But what's interesting is, what is rejection? Rejection in this case is $0. They didn't donate. But if you think about it, they're already being rejected now because she doesn't have the donation. She's already got the $0. So in that instance, she doesn't have anything to lose. It's a benefit to pick up the phone. It's a benefit to write a letter. It's a benefit to ask somebody for a warm intro. She doesn't have anything to lose. You can't lose more than 0. You can't overdraft in this case. And so to just show your brain sometimes of like, the thing I'm so scared of, I can handle. It's not a big deal. I can handle this. I got me, right? Kevin in the basement. I don't need to run upstairs. This is my imagination, right? A part of me is scared, and a part of me really wants to make this call because this donor gave a significant gift one time that shows me something, that tells me something, right? I'm not done yet. And if you have that energy of, no, I'm not done yet, let's go, then what would you do? Versus the energy of, I don't want to bother. I don't want to bother people. I don't want to, bug people, right? Those are totally different steps and actions that you take when you're thinking that. So we are going to get you into daring action mode. We're going to do it in a way that doesn't feel terrible, I promise. And we're going to give you the strategy and the scripts inside so that you don't go into these meetings feeling like a fish out of water. All right. So come join us in the club. Enrollment is open. You can click the show notes. Join us in the club and you'll get the support of Outreach Genius, as well as our core programs, Easy Emails, Amplify Social Impact, where I teach a lot of these street team strategies inside. All right, I'll see you next time.